Besides the Styles gallery in Word, did you know that there are other ways that you can affect the styles? Now, if you're coming from, say, an older version of Word, you may have wondered where the Styles pane has gone, so we're going to find it today. And then we're going to look at one more way that you may find really helpful when it comes to styles. Hi, I'm Terry, one of the Consumer Technology Specialists for Mid-Continent Public Library. And let's dig in just a little bit more to learn more about Word and styles. As you look at this example document today, you may realize that I'm using the same example document that I used for our first video. I thought the comparison might be kind of fun to have. So as I look at this, I might say, much as that styles group is nice, I have to scroll through quite a bit to find what I'm looking for. And it's okay if I click on this More button to open up the gallery, but it seems like it's some extra clicks. So if you remember from older versions of Word that there is something that's called the Styles pane, you may really be looking for the Styles pane. Well, it's still here, but to get to the Styles pane, you need to go to the far right, the far lower right of that styles group where you see this little arrow pointing down and to the right, the dialog box launcher. And when you click on it, it opens up the styles pane. Now the styles pane will probably be floating for you, and it's something that I'm not very fond of. I would much rather have a pane that is consistently in one place so I'm not constantly moving it around. So if you would like to dock this pane, you simply place your mouse in the title bar of this box, double click, and it will dock it to the right. Now I could also click on this drop down that's in the upper part of that styles pane, and I could resize this. Whoa, let me grab my mouse and go the other way if I find that it's taking up too much space. And then I can click to turn that off and have a slightly narrower pane. Now, as I've moved my mouse, you may have noticed that with my mouse just hovering over the different style names, that it brings up this nice little box that tells me a lot about this particular style. So for example, normal, of course, is Calibri. It tells me about the left alignment, the different spacing that this paragraph has, and it even tells me that the style is going to be in the styles gallery. And so I could scroll down here, kind of hover my mouse on some other things, and as I hover my mouse, we can see all sorts of details about that particular style. So if you're curious or you find that some of that information tells you that you would like to make some changes, then you could do that as well. Now going to the right of any of these styles, you get a little drop down arrow, and when we click on it, you can see that it gives us the same choices that a right click on a style in that styles group also shows. So we could update. So if I had made a change in my document, I could come here and then update all of the rest of the same style to match the selection. Or I could modify the style. So let's say with modify, I click on that, and this is intense quote, and this style is based on normal. The style after the paragraph is the normal style. I can see from the toolbar all the different choices. For example, it's blue right now. Maybe I could change that to a different color if I wanted to, for example. And then some more of those details below the preview. And then even some more choices about adding this to your normal dot dot, which is the underline default style. You could say, no, I only want it for this document. You could add it to the styles gallery so it would show up on the ribbon. All sorts of choices there, but we'll just cancel out of that. Also to the right of any of these styles, as we look, we can see that some of them have a paragraph mark. Let me kind of get off here for a second. But as you look down from the paragraph mark, you see that some of the others have a paragraph mark and an A, while others only have an A. Well, that paragraph mark means that when you apply that style, it by default applies to the whole paragraph all at one time. If you see an A, it means that you can really just apply that to one character if that is what you really want to do. And if you see both the paragraph mark and the A, that means you have the option of applying this style to just one character, or you could apply it to the entire paragraph, however you would like to do that. Now, when I first opened my Styles pane, I see that I have all of the names here of all of the different styles, but it would really be nice if I could see what they're going to look like. Well, just like it does here in the gallery. Well, I can come down below that list where it says Show Preview and click on that box. Now I have a really good example of what each of these do. And it's nice because they're all kind of in a line, and there's a lot less scrolling up and down as I try to apply styles. So for example, here in this first line of my document, using word styles, well, I would like to make that a title. And so I come over to title, and I can see that I can apply it as a paragraph or as a character. Well, I've just clicked in the line, so that should apply it to the entire paragraph. I'll click, and there's my title style. Below that, I have a subtitle. Now again, it shows me that I'm in normal right now, but I can come to subtitle and click, and it applies the style. And so it's, in some ways, to me, a lot easier to find what I'm trying to find and to go through and apply these different styles. So here's a quote. Let's do one more. We'll do a quote. And I do need to scroll down, but it's so nice to be able to see what this is going to really look like. So, ooh, this intense quote looks pretty good here. And if I have any question about the details, I could come in here, click my down arrow, and even go to modify just to see details. Or of course, if I hover over it, I can also get a lot of information about how this was created. As I come down a little bit farther, I can see that I have 3 buttons at the bottom. And the first one here is New Style. So when I click on it, it brings me to this dialog box where I can create a new style, from the formatting that is there. So I would give it some sort of a name, and generally we're going to have that style based on normal, and the style following the paragraph is usually going to be normal as well. And then I can go through this little, well, this really is more of a toolbar than a ribbon, and I can make my choices for this new style, and when I'm finished I would just click OK. That could be a really slick way to create a new style. To the right of that, we have a style inspector, and we're not going to spend any time really with this style inspector, so we'll just click on it to see what it looks like and just give you a tip of the iceberg kind of look. So here with the style inspector, notice that it says right now I have normal wherever I've clicked in that paragraph, and I can also, to the right of that, reset anything that I have put a style on. I can always reset to normal. Then the text level formatting, so a default paragraph font, but I could change that again to say a new style. I could select all 2 instances of that style and then change it. So there are a lot of really nice ways to use this style inspector. And it even lets you then, as we look, reveal the formatting. So let me click on that, Oh, look at that, and we have all of this information, all the details about that particular font style that we're looking at. And then this other button is another way to create a new style. Well, we'll close the Style Inspector, and I'm also going to close this Reveal Formatting so that we just get back to our Styles pane. And that was our Style Inspector button that you may want to spend some time just playing with it and seeing what you can do with it. And then we also have Manage Styles. Well, when I click on it, it brings up another kind of dialog box where, again, I can look at the different styles. I can select a style to edit, and notice that there are a lot of styles that are kind of hidden away because they are not the default styles for this particular document. But I could take this and then modify it if I want to do that. Let me scroll down, see what we have. Yeah, you can see there are a lot of styles that are in Word that just are not part of this default gallery. So we could modify, we could create a new style again. We can even import styles from other documents, for example, and then we could export to other documents. So if you create a new style and you say, ooh, I want to share this with some of my other documents, you could do that as well. So this can be just a nifty little tool to manage styles, and again, is something that you'll want to investigate. As we click on the Options button here, then we can select styles to show, recommended, or in use, or in the current document, or just all styles. So we might see what styles are in use right now. Sometimes that helps you with a really large document, determine where things are, and maybe the same kind of text has had several different styles applied to it, and so you could check that and then make some consistency choices. You can select formatting to show as styles, paragraph level, font formatting, and see, we didn't really see any bullet and numbering formatting, but that is also an option. And then we can select how to build the style name. So we have all sorts of choices here that, again, that's just kind of more advanced than this video is going to be, but you'll want to investigate all of these buttons down at the bottom. If at some point you decide that you really don't need to see that Styles pane, maybe you're working in a document that is really just normal text, you don't need to apply any fancy styles, then what you can do is close the Styles pane by finding the title bar here and going to the right where you find the X to close it out. And just click and it's closed. Now to get it back, of course, we'll go to that dialog box launcher in the Styles group and just reopen it. It could be that you decide that you don't want to have the Styles pane docked and that you would prefer to have it movable just on your screen however it needs to be. So to do that, you go to the left of the X, click the drop down and find Move. Now I find that with my computer here I have a little bit of a delay, so I do want to have that four-headed arrow kind of, come on, let's move, of mouse. There we go. And then you just click and drag, and at least for me it takes a little bit of patience to get it to move. But now I have kind of the undocked size of this Styles pane, but I can move it however it's most convenient for me. So that is just your personal choice in how you would like to use that Styles pane, either docked or undocked, and then of course click the X to close it out. I've opened another copy of our example document, and so it's all back to that normal style, but there is another way to work with styles that I find just extremely helpful from time to time. It helps with consistency within your document. It helps you see the style name and see the style applied to your document all at the same time. It gives you some options that the Styles Gallery doesn't necessarily give you. And so there are just a lot of pluses to this, and I find that from time to time, especially if I'm wanting to be very sure that, for example, I might have a bulleted list and I want the blank line after that bulleted list to be normal and not another bulleted list just without the bullet, that I go in and make sure that the styles are absolutely correct. To do that, what we need to do is expand out this area that's on the left of my view here. And I should say that my view has changed a bit. I went to the View tab in the ribbon, and instead of being in Print Layout, let me click on it just so you can see, where you can see the edge of the paper and see the margins. I've gone to Draft. And when I click on Draft, then I no longer see the edge of the paper. I don't really see any margins. And I can tell that, boy, there's just no space here. It's just right smack dab up against the left side of the page. And so what I need to do is expand this left area that is called the Style area. And to do that, we're going to go to File, and then down all the way. Now, you may have options in this list, but for me today, I need to click on More and then click on Options to get there. And that brings up your word options. Now, there are all sorts of categories here and choices. What we're going to do is come down about halfway to Advanced and click on that. And there are just a myriad of options, but we're going to scroll down, and what we're looking for is Display. So you can see that it takes quite a bit here to scroll down far enough to see Display. And then the fifth choice here is Style Area Pane. Wow, so Style Area Pane width in draft and outline views right now is 0. Now, some people will tell you to make it just 0.5, half an inch. I kind of like an inch for starters myself. Some people then will say, well, you know, they really like 1.5 or even 2 inches. It all depends on just what your preference is. Whatever you type in, we can change. So I'm going to put 1 inch and click OK. And now look at this document. On the left-hand side, I can see that every one of these paragraphs is styled for normal. So how does that work precisely? Well, we know that our title here is using word styles, so I can come over to the left to where it says normal and click on the word normal, and it brings up our mini toolbar. Now, the mini toolbar has on it, kind of on the right-hand side, the Styles button, and when I click on its drop-down, it gives me the Styles Gallery. So I could very easily come in here, select Title, and now I've applied the title style to my document, and if you look on the left-hand side in this Styles area, it says Title. And it becomes very obvious now what I have styled differently from all of the normal paragraphs. Well, here's something else that you might bump into. So let me click where I have this subtitle, come over to the left, click on Normal, and this time, instead of using the mini toolbar, because, well, I may decide that I don't like the mini toolbar, I can always go back to Home. Let me click on that Normal again, and this time go to our Styles Gallery in the ribbon and go to Subtitle. Now, it did change the subtitle, and look at that. It even says Subtitle. So now I can tell that I have a title and a subtitle. Well, let's look at another way to apply the styles. So I'm going to click in this really second paragraph where it says this is a quote from someone, and I'm going to come over to Normal, but this time instead of a single click, I'm going to do a double click. it brings up the mini toolbar, which seems okay, it's like usual, but I'm going to then do another single click on normal, and it brings up a style dialog box. Now, just looking briefly at this list, we can see that there are so many more styles that we can get to fairly easily that don't appear in the styles gallery. Isn't that amazing? Well, let's see, I have a quote. So since I am clicked in this list, I'm going to just type a Q to take me to the Q part of the list. So here is quote, and it even gives me information about that quote, and it has a button that I could modify the quote a little bit if I wanted to, but we'll just go with quote style, and in the lower right we're going to click apply. Now, this is the only kind of scary part of using that double click, single click method is until you click off of what you've selected, you don't see that there was a change. But now, obviously, I have this quote style, and on the left I have quote. So let's try that one more time. Let's also then click in heading 1. We're going to go to the left and double click on normal, which brings up that mini toolbar. Click one more time and it brings up the style dialog box. And I'm going to type an H since I'm clicked in normal. And it gives me, as you can see, all of these different heading styles that, ooh, I went too far, but at least 9 heading styles that you did not see in the styles gallery. And we'll just go with heading 1. And again, it tells me some about it. It gives me a preview. I can modify it if I want to. More details below that. I'll click apply and nothing happens, but as soon as I click off of what I have selected, now it shows me heading 1, and on the left I can see heading 1. Now, of course, when you finish your document, you're not going to really want to be in that view. So we can go back to View in the ribbon here and go to Print Layout. Now we've hidden all those styles. We could bring up the Styles pane if we wanted to, and they would show there. But isn't this a great way to see the different styles, see how they are applied, and you don't have to do a whole lot of clicking or scrolling up and down to see how all of these work. So again, remember that you might want to go to View and go to Draft and go to your styles area. Now, if the style has a really long name, you can rest your mouse right on top of that vertical line, and your mouse becomes this 2 parallel lines that are up and down, and then you have arrows pointing left and right. So I can click and drag out, I can click and drag in, and determine how wide that particular pane is going to be. And again, to turn it off, then I'll go to View and go to Print Layout. Wow. And here I have my document, but all of those style definitions are kind of hidden away. To learn even more, visit mymcpl.org/online learning, where you will find online resources that include Universal Class, LinkedIn Learning, and Learning Express Library. Be sure to join us each week as we present a variety of tech topics. Each week we premiere 3 new videos. You'll be able to find them at 1 o'clock on Wednesday and Friday, or at 2 o'clock on Tuesday. You can find us on Facebook at MCPL 360, or if you prefer, be sure to subscribe to our MCPL MO channel on YouTube, where you'll be able to find our MCPL Consumer Technology Resources playlist.